Tonight on BBC London, a gang of teenage girls who attacked a pensioner who later died and filmed it on their phones are jailed. His family say they'll never forgive them.
This was a cruel attack on an elderly man. He was completely defenceless and you showed him no mercy.
Also on the programme tonight, the leaky pipes, mould and sewage spills that have plagued a Pimlico housing estate. We hear from one resident who suffered scolding after another building problem.
Can you hear that? What? Exactly.
Getting the country file treatment. One London teenager tells us of the help and new experiences he's had thanks to children in need. And we get a tour of the South London home that's been shortlisted for a prestigious architecture prize. Good evening and welcome to the programme. First tonight, 3 teenage girls have been jailed today for killing a 75-year-old man in an unprovoked street attack. Freddie Rivero was assaulted in Islington in February this year as the group of girls got off a bus. They surrounded him and shoved, kicked and punched him in what police have called a sickening attack. One of the girls filmed the assault on her mobile phone. Freddie died in hospital the next day. The girls were aged 15, 16 and 17 at the time of the attack and can't be named because of their ages. Some of you may find the report from our Home Affairs correspondent Sonia Jessup upsetting.
Freddie Rivero was a much-loved father, remembered as kind and polite. He was killed by 3 teenage girls in an unprovoked attack. CCTV shows them pushing him and snatching his glasses. One films the assault on a mobile phone. The eldest punches him in the head, causing him to fall to the ground. Police found him unconscious on the pavement with a severe head injury. He died the following day in hospital. The girls, aged 14, 16 and 17 at the time, can't be named for legal reasons. The youngest had a previous conviction for attacking a homeless woman, again filmed on a mobile phone.
I want to take this opportunity to thank the members of the public who stepped in to help Freddie and tried their best to tend to his injuries, and also supported the police investigation. Thanks to their actions, our officers were able to arrest the girls swiftly within hours of the attack and ensure key evidence was captured.
They pleaded guilty to manslaughter in June and today were sentenced, detained for 4 years, 3.5 years and 2.5 years.
I'm entirely satisfied that Freddie Rivero did not say or do anything to provoke the attack that was to follow. In fact, he raised his hands and made peace gestures towards you before you approached him to carry out the attack. You, D1, pushed Mr. Rivero towards the shutters of a shop. D2, you were filming the incident on your mobile phone and you pulled Mr. Rivero's glasses from his face.
The Old Bailey heard that the girls had experienced difficult and traumatic events during their childhoods. In a highly unusual move, one of them read out a letter that she'd written to Mr. Rivero's family, in which she said she was sorry for the pain that she had caused.
Freddie Rivero's daughter told the court she would never forgive the girls for cruelly and maliciously killing her father. A gentle man, she said, who had never hurt anyone. Sonia Jessup, BBC London.
Policing around London's synagogues has been stepped up today following yesterday's attack at a synagogue in Manchester. The London Mayor says extra officers are being deployed across Jewish communities in the capital. Londoners have today called for unity as a community mourns. Layla Hayes reports.
Heightened security outside synagogues in London today, and fear that what happened in Manchester could also happen here.
Well, if they are doing in Manchester, maybe happen here as well, yeah.
Are you worried about that?
Of course.
I'm feeling disgusted. I don't think anybody deserves that sort of treatment. Whatever the beef is on this matter, it should be resolved by a dialogue, political dialogue, and by people getting together.
I worry about people that look more openly Jewish, yeah. I don't hide that I'm Jewish, but there's some people you walk down the street, you can see they're Jewish a mile off. I worry about them, of course.
The Met Police say there's nothing to suggest an increased threat to London, But they say additional officers are now being deployed around synagogues and in Jewish communities. And synagogues are being urged to keep their doors closed at all times. The investigation into what happened in Manchester is still ongoing. But Jewish MPs in London say an attack is something the community had feared.
For a long time, we've had security outside our place of worship, outside Jewish spaces, Jewish schools. We know that there has been rising anti-Semitism in our society, and when you look around the world at similar sorts of attacks, it felt like something as awful as this was coming. I hoped it was something we would never see, but yesterday that line was crossed.
Magen Anon lives in London, but both of his parents were killed on October the 7th at their home in Israel. He wants their legacy to be an end to the war, but worries there is little sign of peace.
I think violence breeds violence, and the way to calm things down is to try and have less violence in the Middle East and also here in the UK. We generally have a very inclusive, diverse community here in London, and we all get along. We should celebrate that, and I think realize that we are capable of getting along, and just bring it to other places in the UK.
The actions of security staff in Manchester have been praised. The Community Security Trust say we must now all come together.
For everybody who finds this kind of terrorism absolutely appalling, if you have Jewish friends, Jewish workmates, Jewish neighbours, now's the time to speak to them, to reach out to them, to express your sympathy, to show that this does not represent what this country is all about.
The Prime Minister says he'll do everything to keep the Jewish community safe. But for now, the increased security at synagogues will continue. Leila Hayes, BBC London.
Well, our political correspondent Susanna Mendonça joins me now. And Susanna, the Met have had something to say around the increased security we've been hearing about this weekend, haven't they?
Yeah, well, we know that they're going to be keeping a visible presence outside synagogues and mosques over the coming days, but they've said that resources are not indefinite. And they've got the added challenge this weekend because there's going to be a protest being held by people who are opposed to the government's decision over the summer to prescribe Palestine Action as a terrorist organisation. Now, the Met Commissioner, Mark Rowley, has said that to that group that he's urged them to cancel that protest. He doesn't have the power to ban it, but he said that it's going to draw resources away from that community policing because around 1,500 officers will have to police that protest. He's also said that he thinks it will create more tension within communities at a time when we've seen, of course, the Jewish community particularly frightened. Now, I've spoken to that group, it's Defend Our Juries. They've said that they're not calling it off. They say they stand in solidarity with Jewish communities, but they think that cancelling peaceful protests would be letting terror win.
So what has the Mayor had to say about all of this?
Well, the Mayor has a different view, really, to the Commissioner and the Home Secretary. He's said that the right to protest is a fundamental cornerstone of democracy, but he said that those protesting need to be mindful of what has happened, the terrorist attack, and also that we all have a responsibility to think about how our words and our actions affect people and how it makes them feel.
Absolutely, Susanna. Thank you very much indeed for that. Thank you. Well, you can hear more about the policing in the capital this weekend on Politics London. Here's what's coming up.
Hi, coming up on the programme this week, what can be done to reform the Met? We'll ask a former Met Chief Superintendent. Do join me, Samantha Simmons, this Sunday at 10 a.m. on BBC One. See you then.
Now, the Lillington and Longmoor estate in Westminster is hailed as an architectural gem. The Grade 2 star-listed homes in Pimlico are highly protected. But for residents living there, life can be very different. Leaks, mould and sewage spills are common. One woman has been flooded over 10 times, while another man has told us about being scalded by a burst pipe that sprayed boiling water over him. Westminster Council and the leaseholder have apologised and say they are looking for a solution. Thomas McGill has been speaking to people on the estate and a warning his report begins with images of some of those injuries.
Scalded by a burst water pipe on the Lillington and Longmoor estate. James says he's been left with scars almost a year after a council-run water cylinder suddenly burst over his back, causing significant burns.
I was out of work for a month. I struggled immensely. I couldn't do basic things like put my clothes on, couldn't really dress myself. I had to have help when showering, things like that. So yeah, it was definitely a rough month of just trying to recover, not just physically, mentally as well, because I couldn't go out and do my normal things like day-to-day stuff.
He's now seeking compensation and says Westminster Council, who owns the commercial boiler, should have done more to make it safe.
This is my mum's bedroom.
Burst water pipes on the estate is nothing new. This is Andy's bedroom after a pipe from the communal heating system known as the PDHU burst in 2021, destroying everything.
I'm a human being. I don't deserve to be living like this.
This was where it collapsed.
We have returned almost 4 years later to see if things have improved.
How many times since we were here in 2021 have you had leaks in the flat generally?
I think about 2 times, 2 or 3 times. It still feels like living in hell. I do feel trapped. I do feel not important. I don't feel prioritized in any way, and I'm really dreading wintertime coming, because the summer's gone with the added heat, and in the wintertime is when the mold and the damp all comes back, and I don't really know how I'm going to cope.
At the community centre, Darlene is all too aware of the big problems facing residents.
The main committee became overwhelmed with that, so we had to set up a subgroup which deals specifically with the amount of leaks we have on this estate, and poor repairs. All the repairs are not done smoothly.
Grade 2 star listed, the Lillington is praised for its innovative and groundbreaking 60s design.
I mean, it's an amazing place to live.
Jim and Ed are ward councillors. They say leaks are a massive problem, but not the only issue.
What could be more disturbing than, I think it's euphemistically called black water, but it's sewage, other people's sewage coming up through your bath waste.
Yeah, sewage on balconies we had again in this building here. Damp and mould, and then also that leads to kind of infestations of insects or bedbugs, cockroaches, whatever else.
Labour has run Westminster Council since 2022 and say decades of underinvestment is the main reason for many of today's problems.
There have been many leaks linked to the Pimlico District Heating Undertaking, which is the communal heating system. And we know that the PDHU is at end of design life. We spend £3.5 million a year on repairs linked to the PDHU. I've been the Cabinet Member for Housing Services for 3.5 years, and we've made, huge investments in housing. After decades of underinvestment under a former administration, we have ensured that we've invested in our frontline services to ensure that we have more housing officers close to the communities that they serve, ensure that our housing officers have smaller patches.
Westminster Council and A2 Dominion, who is the leaseholder for the block where Andy lives, has apologised. A letter was sent to tenants last week outlining future plans. What happens to the PDHU will be decided next year. For many, that will be little comfort as winter approaches and homes continue to deteriorate and leak. Thomas McGill, BBC London.
Now, over the last month, we've been hearing from political leaders ahead of each of the parties' conferences. Today, it's the turn of the Greens and their recently elected leader, Zach Polanski. Our political editor, Carl Mercer, spoke to him about some of the key issues the party faces, including what next year's council elections in the capital could mean for the Greens.
If we can look ahead towards next year's elections, every London borough up for election next year. Is it now or never for the Greens in terms of making an impact in the capital?
I think that is quite true. This is a pivotal moment for us. We've had many, many defections, in fact 10 in September alone from the Labour Party. We're also seeing a Labour government that people are deeply unhappy with. So this is a moment not just to finger point or blame, but actually to present an alternative vision. And as I've been campaigning in London, people are excited about the vision for the Green Party to look to lower people's bills and make sure we're really in communities and serving people.
Are they excited to join the Greens, or are they just excited to leave Labour?
I think a little bit of both. I think for lots of people it was just anything but that. But actually people find very quickly as they learn more about the Green Party. People have known about our environmental policies for a long time. Of course, protecting the planet and tackling climate change is at the heart of our agenda, but actually what people didn't know is our policies about protecting communities, investing in the National Health Service, holding the mayor to account. Recently I held him to account even for the genocide in Gaza. Now obviously that's not the mayor's responsibility, but he has a government that are enabling a genocide. I think when Londoners are hearing that the Green Party are out there batting for them, they know we've got their back.
When they hear that you don't want to build on the green belt despite a desperate housing shortage in London, will they not look at you and go, it's okay to have some green credentials, but actually there is a fundamental human right, and that is to have a roof over your head?
We have a housing crisis and we badly need to tackle it. We also have a nature crisis. We live in one of the most nature-depleted countries of the world, and there's no need to build on the green belt. The only people who want to build on the green belt are property developers, the same property developers that have donated to Labour administrations and give lots of money to make sure that those politicians do what they want. Ultimately, we need to be building council housing on brownfield sites that people can actually afford to live in.
And then one quick one, if I may, on the wealth tax that you talk about, a 1% tax on people with £10 million of wealth, is there not a danger that you say to the wealth creators who come to London, you're not welcome here?
I think the real wealth creators are the teachers, the nurses, the carers, the doctors, the people who are actually doing public service every single day. Actually, what we're saying to multimillionaires and billionaires is a 1% tax to make sure that we're reducing inequality and funding our public services properly. I think that's the patriotic thing to do, and I think if people don't want to do that, that's fine, they can leave. Let's make sure that people in London and right across our country are paying their fair share of tax. I think that's something people can get behind, and that's how we can turn our country around.
Zach Palancy speaking to Carl Mercer there. Lots more to come tonight, including...
In the latest in our series on award-winning architecture, we think we might have found the calmest place in southeast London, designed with accessibility in mind.
Now, next month is Children in Need, and in the next few weeks we'll be hearing about the difference your fundraising can make. This weekend there's a special episode of Country File featuring some young people who have overcome extraordinary challenges. One of them is 14-year-old Daniel from Dagenham. He lives with sickle cell disease, a condition that causes painful episodes. He's been supported by Sienna's Smile, a project part funded by Children in Need. And I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Daniel and Countryfile presenter Joe Crowley, who joined him on their ramble. And there was a special surprise along the way.
Someone sent me something they wanted me to share with you.
Hi Daniel, it's Tosin here from Chelsea. Thank you for all your support, but today we are supporting you and we want to wish you all the best.
Thank you both for coming in this evening. I mean, I was smiling when I just saw that clip, and I know that you were smiling as well. Tell us what that was like, Daniel, when you got that surprise.
Honestly, it was shocking. I didn't expect anything of the sort to happen to me. I didn't expect to see anyone from Chelsea, really.
He's one of your heroes, I think I'm right in saying.
Yeah.
Is that right? Now, he was obviously inspired by what it is you have to put up with in your day-to-day life. Can you tell us a little bit what it's like living with sickle cell disease?
Living with sickle cell can be a real challenge sometimes, you know, because when you have sickle cell, you go through things called pain crisis, which is when you don't feel unwell, basically. So when you're unwell, you miss out on a lot of things like school, going out with friends, stuff like that. And you really miss out on a lot, really. But
sounds pretty tough.
Yeah, but you try not to think about it in a negative way, really. Try to think positive, have a positive mindset.
So, Joe, tell us what you've been up to with Daniel and the other young people as part of the ramble.
Yeah, well, Sunday is the Countryfile ramble for BBC Children in Need. It's the first time we've done it all together at a farm, which was very exciting. I think it was your first time on a farm, wasn't it? Yeah. Yes. And we didn't do a traditional ramble, Daniel and I, because Daniel had actually just come out of hospital. I think it was just over the week before, wasn't it? So we did a very restrained physical exercise, but what we did is we tested Daniel's mind, and Daniel is an incredibly sharp guy, and he told me how he likes to play games and puzzles, and you play chess, don't you? And sometimes Daniel uses this to sort of manage his pain when he's going through a pain crisis. So we set you some challenges. I have to say, I don't think we quite figured how quick and how brilliant Daniel was, because he got through them in record time. I don't think we set you enough, did we?
Should we have a look at a little bit of what you did? Here it is.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Collect the conundrum to solve the clue, and you have to get eggs.
Yeah. Oh, we've got loads in here. Oh, she's come out as well. Expertly done. That's got a letter on it. Oh, he's got another letter.
So Dan, tell us what it was like. What was the experience like for you?
It was such a fun experience. I loved everything. I loved going out to see the scenery, walking for leisure, doing all of these different challenges, and really overall it was a fun day. I met new people, did new things I usually wouldn't do.
It sounds fantastic. Now, of course, this is all about children in need and the vital funds which go to all sorts of different charities, and we'll hear about more in a moment. Tell us what you've been doing as part of this to raise money for children in need. Tell us how it all works.
Well, first of all, anyone can take part in a sponsored ramble. They can go on bbc.co.uk/Pudsey and set up their own sponsored ramble. Over the last, it's more than 10 years now, the ramble on Countryfile has raised over £16.5 million. That goes to support charities like Sienna Smile that has been supporting Daniel. And when Daniel talks to me about the difference that made, you used to say, I used to hide it, I didn't know how to explain it. To have this support has been just remarkable. So on Countryfile, please watch the programme on Sunday, at 6:05, and if you can, to donate to support, what charities have been supporting Daniel.
So, Daniel, tell us finally what Sienna Smile has meant for you and why it's so important for organisations like that to get this money.
Sienna Smile is a very supportive charity. They've been with me for a while now, about a year, and throughout the year they've just done so much. They've took me out, they've taught me loads of things, they've overall just been a real help, and I just want to say thank you to them, because I wouldn't be here because of them.
Wonderful stuff. Well, thank you both very much indeed for coming in, and we look forward to watching the programme this weekend. Thank you. Well, you can watch Countryfile Ramble for BBC Children in Need, as we said, at 6:05 p.m. this Sunday. That's on BBC One, and of course, it'll be on the iPlayer as well. Next, it's been described as a blueprint for accessible housing. Neoa House in South London has been built on a previously derelict plot, and it's been shortlisted for this year's Sterling Prize, which is awarded annually by the Royal Institute of British Architects. As part of a series of reports on this year's nominees, Wendy Hurrell has been for a look around.
House in Japanese means garden home, a calm oasis worthy of the RIBA Sterling Prize, stands on what was once a derelict site in East Dulwich.
Was set at a certain height because of many neighbours. So you can't really see this building from anywhere around the site. The roof is covered with green roof, I think all that the neighbours see is this almost like a garden on top.
Its owner uses a wheelchair, so there needed to be a seamless flow.
There just isn't that much accessible housing in London or generally in the UK. Especially in London though, you have all these townhouses with steps up to the front door, and then it's across like 4 or 5 levels. We've been able to build it from the ground up with accessibility in mind. And so that means that, I can move around much more easily. I can be a better father to my children, all of these things. We've been able to build it in a really accessible way, but it's not overtly accessible, right? And I think it shows that, you can, by building something a bit more inclusive, you can also make it more pleasant for everyone.
On a hot day, the doors open all the way for a cooling breeze, and some of the construction has never been done before.
Stone just laid on top of a series of wooden beams. a sustainable house in the sense that the stone acts as this thermal buffer. So it's very kind of warm in winter and cool in summer.
I'm a big believer that architecture can, make you feel something, right? Definitely, even today, you come home and you just feel very tranquil, right? And it restores your soul.
Wendy Hurrell, BBC London.
Well, it was a pretty wet day for most of us. How's the weekend weather looking? Gillian's here. Hi there.
Hello, good evening. Yes, it really has been a very wet day. There's some further rain to come, but the most notable thing are the winds. Now, we do have a yellow warning for those winds in force. As you'll see here, it's been issued by the Met Office. Thanks to Storm Amy, of course, bringing those gusty winds that could reach over 50 miles an hour for some of us on Saturday. So valid from midnight tonight until 7 o'clock on Saturday evening. But let's just turn our heads back to today, because it has been very wet. If you've looked out the window, this has likely been a very similar view to what you've seen, a lot of rain, and where it has been a little bit dry for a time this afternoon, there's been plenty of cloud around. As you can see here, really not any sunshine at all, and it will be in limited amounts as we head through the course of the weekend as well. But let's just have a look at the pressure at the satellite from earlier. So this rain, of course, our band of rain has been pushing eastwards through the course of the day. It's still with us tonight, of course, as we head into this evening. You'll see it's going to intensify into the early hours, eventually clearing away a little bit towards the east, but behind it in its wake we are going to see those wind gusts close to 45 miles an hour, temperatures between 10 and 12 degrees. So then as we head towards Saturday, you can see Storm Amy up to the north clearing away slowly, still got a very tight gradient on those wind gusts as well, but gradually it does ease slightly. So we should see a little bit of sunshine through Saturday itself. Yes, there will still be some showers and plenty of cloud, and of course our wind gusts close to 50 miles an hour, so do take care on Saturday afternoon. Eventually we see that front clear out, so there should be something drier for a time behind it, and into Sunday still blustery, not as windy, and temperatures pretty mild between 14 and 16 degrees. So let's take a look then from Sunday into Monday. This high starts to build and you'll see it gradually moves up and a bit further east, so casting something a bit more settled and a bit brighter for us on Monday and Tuesday. With that, our temperatures are going to increase as well. We could very well see 19 or 20 degrees, so quite the difference, not as breezy, and some good spells of sunshine. Victoria.
Some welcome sunshine, thank you. Right, that's about it from me. Do head to our website to find out more about the former NHS nurse and Bishop of London, who has become the first woman to be chosen as the new Archbishop of Canterbury. That's bbc.co.uk/London. I'll be here later with our 10:30 programme, but for now, from all of us here on the team, do have a lovely Friday evening.